Hey, what's up? Technically Lou here and a BizDev, and today we're taking a look at the Epic Games Store. It's good for developers, but is it good for consumers? Epic Games unveiled their store on December the 6th, and straight away we see a much better revenue split for developers, with Steam take 30%, Epic only take 12%, even waiving the 5% they would take as royalty for the Unreal Engine. Abyss, what do you think is going to happen with Steam here?
Clearly, they're trying to make a big impact on Steam when it comes to competition. They have already grabbed exclusivity of Ubisoft, and that obviously is going to come heavily from the 12% that they're taking. 30% is a lot of money. Now, Steam did try and squeeze in their own kind of gimmick with once you made 10 million, they only took 20% or something like that, or 15, and that was a clever idea on their part, but overall, that's not helping the vast majority of developers. That's going to help the AAA developers who are going to sell millions of copies anyway. So the rich are getting richer and the poor are staying poor. So I'm not sure how that's going to work with them.
Steam announced that change in revenue split before Epic Games announced their store. So I'm wondering, were they sort of privy to information knowing that it was about to launch, or was it just so happens it coincided near the same time? Was that a reaction, or was it purely coincidental timing?
I don't think it was coincidental. I felt like there was a lot of rise at the time with a lot of people complaining about, is 30% still really necessary, and I felt like this was something they knew was coming, whether it was coming from Epic Games Store itself or in general. They knew they had to make a move sooner or later.
The interesting thing as well is that obviously Google had their spat with Epic when they released Fortnite on the mobile. They didn't use Google Play Store because they also take 30% split. So Google and Steam are pretty much in unison here with 30%. It seems like a pretty standard industry marker. So curious as to what Epic can do it, how Epic can achieve to be profitable with a much less revenue split. It seems odd. Are Steam taking more than they actually need?
I think.
And Google, is it purely greed?
Epic themselves said that Steam, they didn't say Steam directly, but they said 30% is not necessary, that you can still make a profit on 12%. And that came right from them. So, maybe they're going to work with it.
The Epic Games Store, and we'll get into this a bit more later as well, is the feature-wise, they're quite small comparatively to Steam. So their running costs for Steam is surely significantly higher with all the features they offer, like achievements and cloud saves and all these various things. That's going to require more manpower in the back end. Bearing in mind, Epic removed in-game time tracking for how long you've played the game because Fortnite was over in their back-end system. So they had to scale that up before they enabled time tracking again. So is this perhaps naivety on Epic's part? Actually, it does cost more. They just don't realise it yet because they haven't got to that feature base. That's what I'm wondering. If this might bite them in the arse later.
They've hit pretty, strongly with the fact that they think 12 is possible. So, and they have the money flow to try and figure it out. I think something had to be done because at this point we were getting to the point where we had a Bethesda launcher, we had an Origin launcher, we had a Uplay launcher. There's so many launchers because people don't want to give 30% to Steam. So either they figure out a way and we have Steam and Epic, or we're going to have 17 launchers in the near future. So I think this was a bit of competition that was necessary for the benefit of future consumers.
Yeah, if anything, I wish it had come sooner. Because I think it took so long to come out that everyone else did develop their own launcher. Because I think I'm not going to give 30% to them. And then if they weigh up the cost of developing their own versus going on Epic now, 12% might be cheaper than building their own in-house solution.
Absolutely.
Maybe not in the long run, but if it saves them a lot of legwork, that's probably more. Uplay, arguably, don't need that. They still sell their games on Steam. So it's interesting to think, were they on the verge of saying no more Steam anyway, before Epic Games, and then Epic Games came along, like, okay, we'll put Division 2 on there. No doubt competition is always better for consumers because obviously means more competitive pricing. So I definitely welcome that. The only thing I would say is that the prices of the games on the Epic Store haven't become cheaper for consumer, only more profitable for developers. I think that's going to be a big factor here is if you want your platform to succeed, it has to be good for the consumer, not just the developer. Otherwise, people won't adopt the platform and then the developers won't release there because there's no market there to hit anyway, So that I think it's a key factor here is that although it's better for developers, we aren't seeing much yet in the way of consumers use our platform other than most people have already got it because of Fortnite. They seem to be relying very heavily on the fact that people will have it already due to Fortnite. rather than, oh, hey, we need to go download something extra. They've already got it anyway, so now we're just making it more useful, you know?
That's true. At the same time, depending on how much exclusivity Epic Games get, it could overshadow that very quickly. Uplay was a big win for them. A lot of people are going to be playing the Division 2 no matter what. A lot of people are going to continue to play future Uplay games, Ubisoft games. And if they can continue to nab that kind of network, you know, in the future, maybe Bethesda will jump over, maybe EA will jump over, because they know they're not going to lose as much cut, but they can open their games to a wider audience, obviously, if they jump into Fortnite's audience and such. So I don't expect them to kill Steam anytime soon. That's never going to happen, but they definitely are making a good jump at it. And depending on who sides with them, I could see it making progress. All right, so a lot of the controversy comes from, yes, it's 12%. Yes, it's cheaper, but why is it cheaper? And a lot of people feel like it's because Epic Game Store right now is so featureless when it comes to the consumer side of things. Steam has a number of features that the Epic Game Store at the time does not have.
Yeah, I feel like the Epic Games Launcher hasn't really got many features we kind of become used to and accustomed to. Maybe they're not vital, but we're so used to having them there. When they're not there, we almost feel like it's just not a finished product and it's not ready, despite probably being quite minimal, like item trading and stuff like that. I don't really care much for trading items. I know a lot of people do, but I think that's going to be, you know, the Steam Marketplace is very successful for people trading stuff they've created and things, you know, so that's going to be quite a big want from people. And we've actually got a list here which was made by Tyler White at PC Gamer, sort of going through comparisons between Steam and Epic Games Store. So I don't know what we've got on that list so far, Abyss. What have we got at the top?
Right off the bat, and one of the biggest features that I do truly enjoy from Steam is cloud saves. Cloud saves enable it so that if you jump to a new computer with Steam, or if for whatever reason your save file gets corrupted for any number of reasons, you need to grab your save file for a game that you already started. It just downloads instantly right off of Steam. This saves a lot of headaches with things like having to revamp your computer and start all over. You can just continue right from where you were lost, and that happens seamlessly in the background. User profiles. Now, this isn't something that I really care about too much, but I'm sure there are people that do. One major thing that stands out to me, though, is that the profiles do show VAC bans, and that might not be as important right now, depending on the games that Epic Store has, but it is good to know. If someone feels really sketchy, you know, you can go into their profiles and see if they have a VAC ban. I don't know how you feel about that, Lou.
I mean, from what I've seen of Epic so far, they're under the opinion of if you cheat on a game, you lose access to the game, period. So they'd have to be on a new account at that point anyway. So I'm not sure that's a huge issue. I think Steam are a bit more relaxed at the time. They're like, well, we'll ban you for now and we'll let you off of it later, you know? So that's kind of useful. Like, oh, they were banned 2 years ago, but they've not done it since. And that's kind of almost irrelevant at that point. So I think if someone cheats in the game, they should be permanently banned. That's usually in the end user license agreement anyway. So I don't think that's a big factor, but the user profile, I think a lot of people take pride in that. I always make sure my profile looks nice, just in case someone looks at it. I never look at it, but you know, I make sure. I like to. It's like a pride point, you know, like your Facebook page. I don't care if anyone looks at it, but if they're gonna, I want it to look good. So
it's true.
You know, I don't know. I think that could be. I feel like a lot of stuff we do on gaming is to almost fill up a virtual trophy cabinet. And if we have nowhere to display that, it kind of defeats somewhat the social aspect of it. It's a very social part of gaming, is showing what you play, what you've achieved.
And that kind of plugs in with achievements as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big one for me.
I don't care. I've never been a big achievement hunters, but it is definitely a giant thing that a lot of people take pride in, and they can go to their user profile and show their achievements.
This is where I'd put a trophy, if I had one.
I think achievements do a lot for some games that are quite small, especially indie titles where they haven't got a lot of time to create a lot of content, so instead they create challenges, and a lot of ways they express those challenges are through achievements.
When and where is a big question with a lot of these points. The next one definitely stands out to me a lot more. It's a big feature that I use to judge whether I'm going to buy a game right off the bat, and that's user reviews.
Oh yeah.
I usually like to go to the more recent ones. You know, you have a lot of problems in Steam where a game gets a bad rep because of early access and such, and they can really turn the game around. But it is still a very, very useful feature to see what other gamers think about the game that you're thinking about buying before you even buy it.
Yeah, I find this a really controversial subject because Steam's review system has its up and downs, and I think it has a lot of positives, but an overwhelmingly bad one in that review bombing has become a big problem. And a lot of gamers will argue, well, it's the only way we have now to express ourselves and show developers we're unhappy, because they don't look at forums, they don't care, they don't respond to that kind of stuff, but they do respond to user reviews. We've seen that works. Review bombing does work. It speaks to developers directly. They panic, they take action. But that kind of feels like you're putting a gun in their face, and that's not a friendly interaction. So I think they need to work on that in a way that it's more, maybe even a star system. How did the game perform? Did it run well? You can give it 3 or 5 stars, and have a star-based system per category, rather than going off of these huge reviews where it's either good or bad, because I don't think that really encapsulates rather how a game actually is sometimes, because there are good things and bad things and everything. So I think Steam's is too blanket bias one or the other. It's either really good or really bad. There doesn't seem like a lot of in between, because a lot of reviews will say positive review, but then you actually read it and it's like, I really like the game, however, it's got this problem, Oh, and by the way, the game's dead, they stopped working on it 3 months ago. That's really important information that was buried behind a positive review. So when you look at this average, it's mixed at the moment, and you don't really know what that means. Does that mean it's mixed because the game added a new content patch, which is just really rubbish? Or did it add a load of bugs that's now made it unplayable, and that's why it's getting reviewed bad, So I think the reviews on Steam are really obscurely detailed, that we have no idea what they really mean. We just use them really now as a meme, I think, almost for attack games, for a laugh, rather than actually use it productively. So I can understand Epic's hesitance there. I want them to do a better system than Steam has, personally, but I think they do need to let us express our view. They can't just hide that. So a lot of things Steam do very well.
A lot of these come with their goods, they come with their bads. But moving on, next one we have here is mod distribution, which is an important feature depending on the game you're playing. Obviously, some of the big ones come from Bethesda with Fallout and Skyrim, and there are smaller ones with indie games that have that as well. And it really helps increase the replayability of a lot of games.
A lot of games owe their entire success to modding. Ark, one of them. Counter-Strike is another big one. A lot of these games would not have succeeded had they not have had mods. And Steam in the early days actually originally took off because its modding ability. They had the Steam SDK built into the launcher. They had instant access to the games and then how to mod. It was all in one place. Epic have a pretty good scenario here because they have the Unreal Engine 4. So if they can link, if a game's built on Unreal Engine 4 and then they go, oh hey, we've got the mod kit for this, and it's just on this tab next to it, you're kind of almost the same as Steam there for modding. So they've almost got the ways to provide you with the tools to mod in the first place. So all they really need to build there, and they've already got the marketplace, by the way. They've been selling assets for Unreal Engine 4 for quite a while. So the marketplace is there. They just need to add a section for game modding. So I'm sure that's coming, and I'm glad, because that is, like I said, that is the lifeblood of a lot of games.
Moving further down the list, this one is very important to me. It's library sorting.
What the hell does that mean?
I think this is... This is something that doesn't matter as much when your store is new and you barely have any games. This does matter when you have close to 500 games like I do on Steam. I completely remove all the games that I don't have installed. I'm always on the installed tab of library sorting, and I'm sure they'll figure out a way to do this in the future once their library really opens up, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, I almost want Steam to sort it out here, because we have either installed, favorite, and that's it. I wish there was categories almost, so you can have categories say, oh, it's an action game, or this is a driving game, so you can see games, think I'm in the mood for a driving game right now, click driving and it will show you all the games you have in that category. That would be a really nice user interface to help me find something I'm in the mood for. Big news recently has been that Ubisoft have decided to release Division 2 only on Uplay and Epic Store. They're not releasing it on Steam. I'm kind of nervous about that one, but at the same time, if anything's going to entice people over, that's probably one of the big games to do it. So fair play to them, I think, Epic on to get that deal set in stone, really.
And I think this is a big move on Ubisoft's part to also buckle down on the fact that 30% is not a viable price this day and age, and they know they're going to hit a loss when it comes to the audience that they reach, and I'm sure they're going to lose money out in the end, but people are going to play the Division 2. It's going to make a lot of money, and it's going to help the launcher tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, I used to sort of defend Steam a lot. I used to think, well, I'd rather Steam take 30% than the developer get another 20% to go into their greedy pockets. It doesn't really matter to me who gets the money. It's still going to greedy people at the top of the chain, really. But at the same time, Steam used to be very much, I think, on our side. They used to sort of fight for the consumer. I feel like they've really relapsed on that in recent years. They are better than most, but I think they've made a lot of bad decisions. They keep investing in the wrong things. Like Steam Controller was a bust. Steam Link is a bit of a bust. Steam VR seems to be going. They really, really pushed VR, and I think VR for me is like 3D TV. It looks fancy on a shelf, and you try it and it looks cool, but actually people don't really want it. The VR uptake isn't as high as I think they want it to be. They keep quoting figures out. It's grown by 200%, which sounds great until you realise that 1 to 4 isn't great growth. It's big in percentages, but actually it's not a lot.
And the beginning consumers aren't using it anymore. It was a big thing when the Oculus first came out with it, and the HTC Vive. It's really something that's just not important anymore.
I think VR is just a dead horse, to be honest with you. I can't see it going anywhere. And I think Valve put all their eggs in that basket, and I think the platform's stagnated. They've put a lot of welly behind the wrong things. Personally, I think they're going the wrong direction. So at least Epic seem to be fighting more for our benefit, but I think they're almost losing their way as well now. They're kind of going a bit towards how can we help developers more, which you can understand the developers themselves, but at the same time, don't forget about us. We're the ones who keep you guys alive in the first place. So,
and that branches into two ways, really. Like, if anyone's going to have more money, I'd rather it be Ubisoft than Steam, because Ubisoft has proven that they do care about their consumers. They've had a lot of mess ups with their games, but they pushed to make those games positive experiences. So in that respect, if you can give them an extra 20% cash to help make my games even better, go for it. But this extra money needs to see consumer positivity. Otherwise, it doesn't affect us. It doesn't matter to the bulk majority of the people who are using it. And I think a lot of the controversy comes from Epic is such a big company, and they released such a featureless launcher, which I feel like in a lot of ways, maybe they rushed it. The launcher was announced 2 days before it came out. I'm not sure if they needed to push it that fast. Maybe they could have announced it and then developed it for a month or two and then released it. But we'll see how that works out. It
seems very Microsoft style. Make something now and fix it later. I think they should have probably got some of these features in first. Even the refund policy, it was completely suboptimal. It was not good enough. And they ended up changing it a week later, but they've had a lot of backlash about it now already. So that's bad PR. It's not going to really help people adopt their new platform. You want a platform to release and meet positivity, not this is crap. This is crap. Why isn't this here? They should have
it was rushed.
pushed a bit more time. I think they're so busy right now with all their Fortnite money. They're throwing it around without thinking about what they're doing with it. And I think they need to take a step back and strategically plan. Here's what we need to get to. Here's how we're going to get there, rather than, hey, we should make a launcher. Off it goes. I'm sure it wasn't like that, but you know what I mean. It feels very, let's get it out there and show the world we mean business, but they aren't necessarily putting the tools there to back it yet. It's just kind of an idea. They're floating out in the open and they're reacting rather than proactively making it better, which is a bit of a problem, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the big issue for a lot of people is, oh my God, another launcher, and I understand that to an extent. At the same time, launchers are free, so really, what's the big deal? If this is going to be some solid competition to help progress Steam in a positive direction and to help progress the Epic Store in a positive progression that will help the consumer, I don't see it as a bad thing.
So this brings us to the big question. Can Epic Game Store succeed? Now, that depends on your metric of success, but I think one key thing to think about here is Bethesda launcher comes out. People don't really say much about that. Fallout 76 came out. No one mentioned the launcher. Admittedly, the game had so many problems that was nothing compared. But still, and Uplay, people don't really complain about that. It is there. People don't really use it. But if you play a game from them, Uplay gets installed and it has to go through it at some point, right? It's like a middleman between the game and Steam. So people don't really complain about that. Origin has got a lot better. People don't really like it though still. But it's pretty poor still, but it's a lot better than what it was. But I think Epic Games has got a problem here of, unlike Bethesda launcher or Battle.net, never gets any stick really. People that buy stuff on Battle.net, they expect to not buy anything else there. It's a one-off thing, like but the majority of their stuff's gonna be on Steam, so they want the features there behind it because that's where they'll be most of the time. Like if I'm gonna play Fallout 76, I don't really care about having a Bethesda launcher because I don't intend to use the launcher. It's just there to get the game going, and that's fine. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. But if I'm suddenly going to buy 30, 40 games on there now, I'm starting to think about where's the functionality, where's my friend list.
It's something that has to be good.
Friends and integrate. The stuff's not there yet, and I think Epic is going more for a Steam style launcher. They want you to get a load of catalog, and people don't want a catalog on something that has no features. So that for me is, I think Epic Games Launcher will do well initially because of their deals to get it off the ground, but I think in the long run it's going to be a bit of a splash that kind of fades away pretty quickly because I think Steam, they're going to respond to this. You know, they're probably going to see how Division 2 goes and think, okay, this has been a problem bigger than what we thought. Let's just reduce our rate. And as soon as they do that, Steam straight away is back on top and Epic are left behind again. So how are they going to deal with that is the question. How are they going to adapt and overcome Steam's inevitable response? Because it will happen.
That's true. I think on the flip side, like you said, a lot of these other launchers are exclusive to that catalog. If you start Origin, it's because you want to play Battlefield and such on and so forth. I think the big difference is, to their positive, they do have Fortnite in their pocket, so their launcher is not going to go away because Fortnite is the most popular game on the planet right now. Whether it's just like Bethesda launcher, if you want to play their game, you have to use their launcher, and that might flow into, oh well, I'm on their launcher anyway. Let me see what they got, and you might end up buying a game. You never know. I don't think the launcher in itself is going to fail. It's going to stick around no matter what because Fortnite is there. Will it get the sales that they think they will get? Once Steam retaliates, who knows? That's definitely going to be the that'll be the deciding factor on whether they continue to improve its functionality and they continue to develop it, or they just toss it to the side as a failed project.
Yeah, I can imagine it becoming just sitting like Steam is now, where they don't really have to do anything. They just know it is what it is now. It won't really grow. It will just stay as it is. And they'll just leave it. They're still making money off it, not a lot, but it's not costing them money, so it's no harm, no foul. But I don't think they'll ever come anywhere near challenging Steam, to be honest with you. A lot of people saying, oh, is it going to take down Steam? Not a chance. Steam's far too big, and they can easily adjust to fix this problem they've got with, 30%, they can easily fix that, And they'll just add, if anything, more stuff in. Like, I can see like a Steam subscription feature coming soon. I don't know why. I kind of get this feeling like Steam's going to have some sort of subscription-based service at some point. I don't know why. I just get this feeling. So I think Steam will be able to... But this is a good thing, though, for the record. I think this is good because it will force Steam to make that change, So I don't think it will fail Epic Games here. It's going to do fine. It's going to make them a little bit of money, maybe. But ultimately, for us as consumers, it's great because Steam will have to step it up. And I think they've definitely needed to kick up the arse because they are really stagnated in recent years. Yeah,
I agree. Competition is good, but good competition is better. And I think when a bat like Fortnite comes at you, it's pretty damn good competition. This is the competition that's going to push innovation and positivity on the consumer side of things, because we're the ones that are going to decide the success of Steam and Epic Launcher. And Steam's definitely going to have to do something to fix it. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, well, that's our general thoughts on the Epic Games Launcher. What are yours? Let us know in the comments down below. And of course, if you liked the video,
please feel free to like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on the very next video coming from you here at Pixel Herd.
Hit that like button now! And subscribe to the channel. Yeah, oh yeah, Pixel Herd, that's the thing. We're Pixel Herd. I'm sorry. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.